Since a lot of you responded so positively to my Marvel Knights Cinematic Universe video, I figured I'd make an extra video to hold you all over for a bit while I plan out the Marvel Knights Part 2 video. In this video, I'm going to tell you about my favorite comic book movie moments. This list is not ranked in any particular order, but consists of my 5 favorite moments from both Marvel and DC. I'm excluding moments from the television shows since there are too many and I have not watched all the shows to make a definitive list or an overall list of what's good and what's not. This will strictly be geared towards live-action comic book movies. First up, Marvel. This scene comes from my most favorite Phase 4 movie so far, just because it's directed by Sam Raimi, and if you refer to the previous video, you will understand why. Seeing Undead Strange was like seeing a Deadite version of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange dreamwalking into his Defender Strange corpse was something straight out of Evil Dead, especially with the hand rising from the grave and the thunder in the background. It just sets up that cheesy, almost Frankensteinian vibe to it. The resurrection is just pure classic horror, and then when we get to the Cloak of Souls, or the Souls of the Damned, trying to consume Doctor Strange, you think, oh, it's gonna be all over, he's gonna get consumed. But no, he turns the event around and turns them into an entire cloak for him to use. Let's be honest, the hype around Spider-Man No Way Home was really cryptid, but then there was also full of leaks that we couldn't trust. So, in all that hype building up to the movie releasing, being able to see all 3 Spider-Men on the screen just kind of felt surreal. Almost unreal, like you can't believe they actually really brought back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to be in this movie. It feels like something you would only see in a dream, and seeing these 3 interact and then fight alongside each other against their old villains is just there's no words I can put into explaining how it feels, except that it's just so surreal and so hypnotizing. From them calling each other Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, with them messing up at their fights and being unable to track each other, and then finally swinging in synchronicity into one of the greatest shots in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to ever have been made. I'm aware First Class redid this scene, but the very first X-Men movie did it much better. First Class feels like it has a little bit of shine to it, almost kind of biopic-esque flair to it, if you get what I mean. Whereas the X-Men 2000s version of the opening, it feels more like you're kind of walking into the wrong movie, like you just walked into a war movie of some sort, and then you have this kid fighting to go back to his family, and then when it reveals that he pulled apart a whole gate, and you realize, oh, you're watching a X-Men movie, and you just saw Magneto and his whole entire origin story summed up in one scene. And what I think makes this scene so powerful is that it's not setting you up to believe that it's a comic book movie. It's setting you up to believe that this is human with superpowers, and this is what happens. Not to mention all the context that I'm not even mentioning right now, such with Nazi Germany, World War II, all that. With all that context just piling up into this one scene, it just builds up for like a very emotional and effective scene that affects both comic book world and real life world. There's just so much power behind it, I can't even explain it. Now I'm aware Silver Surfer is not that popular among people, and it's kind of forgettable compared to what we get nowadays. But with Fantastic Four coming to the MCU, I decided to revisit the movie. But the scene that most stuck out for me when I was a kid was Johnny Storm, Captain America, America's ass, using all the powers. Now imagine being a kid, just a fan of comic book movies, and you see the cool guy in the Fantastic Four combined with all those powers. Invisibility, stretchability, rock, fist thing, and fire. And he's fighting one of the greatest villains in a comic book ever, Dr. Doom. Now imagine seeing him later on become Captain America. There's just something about Fox X-Men movies that open up so well that they don't feel like they're superhero movies, they feel like they're actual movies, it's just that people happen to have powers in them. Which is probably also why I speak highly of Fox X-Men. And if you're wondering what I mean, refer to this video. Not only is the opening of Logan just so effective in making you feel that it's not going to be your regular superhero movie, it puts you in the shoes of old Wolverine and that he's kind of fed up with stuff. And it's only made more effective when he's being punked on. And that effectiveness goes up times 10 when he goes berserk and slashes off the arm of a dude, and we start to see the carnage unfold. And this is the kind of carnage that we have never seen Wolverine do in the movies. Usually, it's, okay, stab here, slash there, whatever. But this is the first time we get to see Wolverine in no holds barred, R-rated glory. You see the damage that his claws do. You see how dangerous it is, how razor sharp it is, and there's no holding back into it. It's both beautiful and, as I said before, sickeningly satisfying.